Okay, so welcome back. I hope you had a good practice. So for those who are just joining, we had some people join while we were practicing. My name is Jess McNally, and you're here with us in Karuna Retreat Center in southern Portugal. And there's a whole wonderful group of people that you can't see behind me, in front of me. So good to be together. So tonight the topic is working skillfully with thoughts and emotions. But first I'm going to answer some questions that were left by our retreat participants here. We're doing a one-week retreat for those who are joining for the first time, called an open practice retreat. So we're here practicing together. We're all doing our own practice. And I think this is the first time this has been done within the greater Tergar community that we know of. And so far, it's going very well. I think I'm getting nods. So it's been really lovely. So the first question was suggestion for open or closed eyes during formal meditation at retreat. So either way is okay. In general, it can be good towards working towards having your eyes open. So at the beginning, sometimes it's nice to close your eyes, especially if you're connecting with your body. Like some of the techniques that Cal introduced us to yesterday, like the body scan, feeling your body sensations. It can be sometimes quite helpful to close your eyes and sort of feel inside. But in general, when you're sitting, it can be quite useful in the long run to get used to practicing with your eyes open. And partly this is so that when you get off your cushion, it's easier to integrate the practice with your everyday life. So if we always meditate with our eyes closed, most of our day we spend with our eyes open. And so it can be harder then to connect awareness with daily life activities. So that helps a lot. Tonight I'm going to be talking a little bit about too tight and too loose, and I'll say a little bit more about how you might want to use your eyes. Your eyes can help you actually kind of relax or wake up. So I'll say a bit more. How to deal with the feeling of being insufficient or not succeeding, of blocking. For example, the fear of speaking in public or the fear of exposing oneself. This one's quite difficult. And I think, tonight I'm going to talk about working skillfully with thoughts and emotions. So maybe I'll touch on this as we go, but I think, we always need to, as we go along the path, we learn different tools for working with this. And I think compassion for ourselves, loving kindness for ourselves, kindness for ourselves is really important when it comes to the feeling of not being sufficient or the fear of exposing ourselves. So just to really notice the fear, just do whatever you can to sort of really be kind to yourself, not pushing. And sometimes, I have a little bit of fear of speaking in public, and I could tell when we started the meditation session, my heart's racing, and I've got oh my God. And it can be actually quite exciting if you can use it for practice. It can be a kind of like a gap experience, no thoughts, oh, okay, gap. So you can bring awareness to that experience. That's one way of working with it, But also, I'm going to talk today about when we're like really agitated, how to try and bring your energy down. So sometimes when we have a lot of fear, it's like our stress goes up like this, and so if you feel the ground, bring your energy down. If you can, do like body scan, or if you're standing and out in the world, just like feeling your feet can be really helpful. So there's a few suggestions, and maybe as the talk goes on, some other things will be helpful. How can I free myself from ego, fear of suffering, and naturally open my heart to all beings with generosity and compassion? That's such a wonderful question. And I think, just that intention already means you have loving kindness and compassion. Just that wish, that wanting to open your heart, that wanting to be free from ego, that's already a lot. And then all of the practices we're doing actually are supporting this wish. So it's kind of the whole path. And but having that intention really means that our practice will lead us in that direction. And I think trusting that really helps. So I hope that helps. And then there's a question about doing the body scan upwards or downwards. And can you clarify that? So I am actually going to go into that tonight a little bit about when we want to do maybe body scan up and when we want to do it down. So if I forget, someone yell at me, say something. And so if I didn't answer your question tonight, please leave another question or sign up for an interview. On Friday, we'll have more interviews. And for those who are watching online, if you want to submit a question in the chat or email us at retreats@Tergar Retreats, we can include it. Cal can include it in his talk tomorrow. Okay, so working with skillfully with thoughts and emotions is a fairly big topic. I feel like basically every practice that we do is about this in some way or another. And as I was thinking about what to share tonight, one of the things I'm really appreciating about this retreat is that everyone is doing their own practice. So some people are doing Joy of Living 1 practice, 2, 3, Path of Liberation, something completely else. And so what I thought would be really helpful tonight is to talk about right effort. Because really, as long as we're not too tight or too loose, any practice that you do, whether it's bringing awareness to your emotions and thoughts, or seeing your thoughts and emotions as a loving kindness and compassion, or using wisdom and looking at the emptiness of your thoughts and emotions. If we're too tight, trying to look really hard, it doesn't really work. And if we're too loose, it doesn't really work. So no matter where we are on the path, we're actually always working with too tight or too loose. And I think especially in retreat, it's really helpful to know if you're too tight or too loose. So that's the topic for tonight. And I wanted to just give a little bit of an example, too tight and too loose. So say we have this bell. So too tight is like awareness, 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 awareness. And it doesn't work. The bell doesn't ring. And too loose is like awareness. Oh, this is nice. Nice sound. And like forget, lost. And then the practice doesn't really work either. So we're just lost forever, eventually, oh yeah. And so I think we're all laughing because we've been there. So the right effort is knowing how to ring awareness or loving kindness, wisdom. Okay, let it ring. Oh, maybe hit again. So I think as practitioners, we're constantly kind of trying to find what's that right balance. So I'm going to go through some of my experiences with too tight and too loose. I've been both a lot, and I feel like this is a constant exploration, so I hope some of it's helpful. So for too loose, sometimes we call this like dullness also. It's connected. And when we look at am I too loose, there's sort of three ways we can look. There's our body experience. There's our speech, which in this case, because we're in silence and we're retreat, is like our inner dialogue, our inner speech. And then there's like our mind, our feelings, our intention, our ideas about our practice. So if you're looking and you're trying to see, am I too loose? You can look first at your body. And is your body like too relaxed? So when we're talking about posture, yesterday Kel was giving us a lot of really helpful tips about our posture. Not too tight, not too loose. Well, one side is too loose. It's like, so if your body's like too relaxed, sometimes you lose a kind of vigor in your practice. So if you're at home and you're like trying to practice in your most comfortable lazy boy, or in your bed but like really cozy, and you've got a blanket around and you're sort of like, it might be you're a little loose, maybe too loose. Sometimes there's a feeling in your body too of like being like in a warm cocoon. Like I feel like when I'm too loose, it has a little bit of like a, I feel so nice, like the spa. I've gone to meditation spa, and I actually think, sometimes meditation has a little bit of this, like, people who don't meditate in our society sometimes think this is what we do. Like, like I remember I came out of the Zen monastery, and like Zen is pretty hardcore and sort of macho and like rigorous, and I got home and one of the first things I saw was this new spa called Zen Spa. I thought like Zen experience wasn't anything like the spa. Like it's not like I'm at the spa, But I think sometimes we have this idea that meditation will be like that. And of course we discover it's not really always like that. So that's your body. Next, you can look at your speech, your inner dialogue. Am I too loose? And sometimes it's like kind of quiet, like fuzzy thoughts, like you can't quite see them. And like kind of, I feel like when I'm really too loose, it's like I'm ambling along, like la 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 la. There's like a kind of aimless wandering quality to my thoughts, and or maybe no thoughts, like just spaced out, like nothing. But you know that you've been lost, or that you're in kind of too loose, because when you have awareness, it's like this feeling of waking up or coming back, like you've been gone somewhere else. So it's lost, like zone out, and or lost in this kind of wandering, like I'm off in my magical land somewhere, but I'm not here. I'm like in a dream. So as long as there's awareness, actually fine. So This is going to be a theme. If there's awareness, you're okay. This is when there's no awareness. But you might find that like there's awareness and then you're getting lost a lot. Awareness, lost. So this is a sign you're too loose. In your mind, it can feel like you're not really making any effort. Like you just sort of feel lazy. Sort of lack of inspiration, maybe heavy, cozy, and there's something about when I'm too loose, like having to do anything feels like a pain. Like if somebody came up to me and said, Jess, I need your help, there's a feeling of like, oh, it's such a bother. Don't bug me, I'm happy in my little place right now. And so when we're too loose and in this dullness, we lack wisdom and compassion. So one way for me, I kind of know I'm too loose is like, there's a sense of like, I'm not ready to help. And people kind of feel like a bother, like, leave me alone, I'm in my cozy pod. And so it's good to know when you're too loose. Because now what to do is you have to bring some vigor, So again, you can look at your body, speech, and mind. So with your body, you need to sit up, get a little more upright somehow. So if you've been slouching back, maybe, sit up a little straighter, get your shoulders back, kind of bring some energy to your posture, if you can. So if you sit in a chair, you might want to come forward in your chair so you're upright, if you can, always thinking about also being comfortable. And this is where, with the body scan, you could do from bottom up. So you're trying to bring energy up into your body. And you can also go for a brisk walk. You can, some of the classic examples are be a little cooler. So open a window, get a little cool. It helps wake you up. And also with your eyes, this is where if you've had your eyes closed, it can be really good to open your eyes. And even look out, or even look up. It really kind of energizes your mind to have your eyes open if you've been too loose, sort of dull. So you can do with your body. So with your inner speech here, you can be a little tough love, you need to pep yourself up a bit. And so as I was thinking of this, I was reminded of this Zen nun I used to live with. Her name was Kaijin, and she was quite old. She's now passed away, and she'd been practicing a long, long time. And she used to talk to herself. And in the morning, she'd wake up and she'd go, Kaijin, wake up! She'd talk to herself. You can sleep when you're dead. And she would literally say that out loud to herself. And sometimes people would sleep in her room and they'd hear her saying this to herself. Come on, Kaijin, you can do it. And it was so funny. So you can do that to yourself. Come on, Jess, get up, wake up, time to get up. You can do it. And a little bit of let's go. And so this is actually good sometimes. We need to pep ourselves up. And sometimes you can see this kind of lazy, it can use a little kick in the butt. So I deal with this a lot. This is a common problem. It's good to know when you're loose because you can do this. And when we get too agitated, this is not going to help. Actually, it's going the wrong direction. But when you're too loose, come on, let's do it. So then with your mind, what really helps is some inspiration. You kind of need to like inspire yourself. Remember why you're doing this. Like, you kind of, it's like some part of you is either like kind of complacent, a little like sort of forgotten why you're doing this. At least this is what happens to me. Kind of like, oh, things are pretty good. I feel pretty good. I don't know why. Maybe I just keep sleeping this morning. This is kind of nice. I'm sitting here. I don't know. This is nice. Good enough. And so we need to remember the bigger picture. So this isn't just about feeling good in the moment, but like saving all sentient beings and like waking up to our true capacity, our real inner wisdom, basic goodness, compassion, love, wisdom, and knowing how to be of help in the world. So that usually really gets me going. Like, I feel okay, but I really don't know how to help people. Like, maybe I can help, maybe somebody, but I don't know how to really be of help in the world, like, truly. And then sometimes seeing great masters, like, just looking at their picture and thinking, like, just looking at them makes me feel inspired. And I'm not like that yet. So, like, I want to be like that. It's like, so finding ways to inspire you. Sometimes reading, like yesterday or a couple days ago, I was talking about reading the stories of great yogis and masters. That usually kind of gives me a kick in the butt. Like, if I think I'm practicing hard, like, look at these masters that, like, practiced for years and years and, like, really so diligently, and that can inspire me. And thinking about impermanence, like remembering that I might feel okay now, but remembering why I started practicing, remembering when I was suffering last week, or, remembering that this is a temporary feeling of okay, and that also life is short. Like, remembering I have this opportunity now to practice, and who knows how long life is going to be. Maybe I have 40 more years, maybe I have today. I don't know, right? So that can really kind of wake you up. For those of us who are Buddhists, the 4 thoughts are kind of all about this, turning your mind towards practice. I'm not going to go into them, but if you wanted to look into those, you could. So that's too dull, too loose. So now, too tight. And most of us are very familiar with too tight. Our problem generally is more around this. So too loose is kind of a rare but wonderful thing. But too tight. One thing I want to say is the challenge with too loose is that it's actually quite comfortable. There's not like the same kind of discomfort that you want to like change. That's why you need to like remember the bigger picture. The good news about too tight is that it's very uncomfortable. It really kind of sucks. Nobody likes being too tight. And so, good news, you're going to want to change. You're probably not going to get lost here for too long, but you might if you don't recognize it. So that's why it's good to recognize so that we can learn how to work with this. So, looking at the body, speech, mind again, with your body, when you're too tight, your body's tight also. So often, like even with dullness, like you might be sleepy, and think, oh, I'm too loose. But when you look at your body, you're actually like, and you're not too loose, actually, you're too tight. And you're so tight that you're knocking yourself out. You're getting exhausted from the effort, too much effort. And so body is often the first place I notice I'm too tight. Like my jaw starts to get tight, my shoulders start to get tight, my hands can kind of tight, everything's tight, so it's really good to notice your body. And already sometimes when you notice and you relax, already that's enough. Maybe, okay, problem solved. This is when we can do the scan head to toe, right? But I'll get into that. So some other signs of too tight, your eyes can be blurry, fuzzy, like there's so much tension that you get sort of blurry eyes. You can have a headache. I've been so tight before meditating that I gave myself a nosebleed. Quite literally. I was like doing this analytical meditation, like, I will solve this problem. Like, my nose just started bleeding everywhere. So don't do that to yourself. It doesn't help. But that's a sign, too tight. Your nose starts bleeding out of nowhere. Really tired. I mentioned that, like tired in a kind of like exhausted way. So with your speech, your inner speech, when I'm too tight off, it's like racing thoughts, like like you're getting lost in thoughts, but they're like faster. They're not like ambling thoughts. They're like crisp and intense, and they're thinking this and they're thinking about that, and they're kind of going all over. There's a lot of ruminating, so sometimes I'll have the same thought like over and over and over. It's very boring, but feels important, feels very critical that I think about this again and again and again. And so there can be a lot of thinking, a lot of analysis, and this feeling of like, I need to figure this out. I need to do this thing, and I need to do it faster. There's sort of like the root of the too tight is like, I need to solve it really fast. So with your mind, too tight feels stressful. It's uncomfortable. Sometimes you feel kind of angry. I mean, you can have all kinds of feelings, but it's unpleasant. It's sort of exhausting. You feel like just tired of, like I feel when I'm agitated and too tight, it's like I just get so tired of practicing. I'm like, ugh, when's this going to be over? This 20 minutes feels like a lifetime. That bell's never gonna ring. Like, there's a lot of expectation. So like I'm looking for something, I have some expectation and it's never quite found. And I think in my mind, when I look underneath it, there's often like a sense of like, I need to change. I need to get better. I need to improve. And like, I will improve. Like, there's kind of, it's a bit like too hard on myself. So those are some ways to notice if you're too tight. So what do you do? So with your body, relax. Any way you can think of relaxing, relax. So if you're like sitting up very straight, like try and relax your posture a little bit. Like, maybe it's okay to not be too upright. Like let yourself be just more natural, more relaxed, grounded. If you're uncomfortable, try and support yourself. Like if you're too tight, this is a good time to like find a nice chair Just relax. And trust it's going to be okay. And so you can learn and listen to your body, find what helps. So I mentioned the body scan, also bringing your awareness to your lower belly and to the ground. So when you're too tight, it's like the energy's up here and you need to bring it down. So trying to feel the earth. And as Cal was mentioning yesterday, when your awareness goes down in your body, your energy follows. So if your awareness is down in your belly, down with the ground, then the energy will naturally start to settle down. When you're practicing, sometimes when we're agitated, it's like we become like walking heads. Like our body ceases to exist. We exist here, or here, like little goggles. And so instead of practicing here, it's like feel your whole body. Practice with your whole body. So if you're resting in open awareness, it's like your whole body's involved. And seeing if you can try and get out of your head, bring your awareness into the body. It really helps. So that's the body. Also, when you're agitated, if you're in retreat, this is a good time. You can go for a walk. You can jump up and down. This helps. Sopni Rinpoche, Mingyur Rinpoche's brother, does this with us sometimes in retreat. Like we just jump and kind of shake. And just anything to kind of help your energy feel the ground and shake it up a little bit, loosen it up. You can do interpretive dancing, kind of like loose movement, just gentle flow. Sounds silly, but really helps. Be silly, be creative. And you can take a break. So sometimes, earlier when we're too loose, it can actually really help to keep the schedule if you're on retreat. I don't really feel like practicing. Oh, yeah, it's time for practice. I don't know. I think I'm just going to hang. I'll practice in a little bit. It doesn't help. And so when you're too loose, you got to no, 9 o'clock, I said I was going to practice. I'm going to practice. Keep the schedule. When you're in retreat and you're really agitated and you've been agitated for a while and you can't quite get out of this state of feeling really agitated, now is a time you could, and you've tried body scan, you've tried all these techniques, it's still not working, and you're just feeling like every time you practice you're tight. This might be a time to really take a break. So if you're in solitary retreat, you get to do you. And even here, if you were feeling like this, maybe a good time to come to me or Cal and say, this one I'm just going to sit it out. I'm going to go for a walk and just relax and watch the frogs by the pond, or just relax. And when I was a Zen student, I was very tight. It was really hardcore sometimes. And my teacher sent me off to do a week of retreat. And I said, okay, what practice am I going to do? He said, no practice. He's like, I want you to sleep, eat, lie down, and sit up. And that's it. That's all you get to do. And so I went on retreat, and the first day I just slept. I slept I don't know, felt like I slept forever. Just sleeping. I'd been so tense and exhausted and kind of pushing. I just went on retreat. I just slept for a whole day. And finally I felt oh, okay, kind of coming to. And I just sat and watched the forest. I just sat there, for a week. And I ate, and I just did what he said. And I kept no schedule. I didn't have a clock with me, no watch. I had no books. I had nothing. Me in the woods. And I came back. Wow. I felt so fresh and alive and so much better. And that's what I needed at that time. So this is why we have to know where we're at. If you're too loose, then you go set off to do retreat and you just, I'm not going to do anything. It won't help. But if you're too tight, that's kind of the medicine for what you need. So this is where we really get to be creative with our practice. So with your inner speech, if you're too tight, this is where it's really good to be very kind to yourself. It's not tough cop, it's gentle cop. Gentle, loving, nurturing, soft. You don't need someone to tell you to work harder. You've been telling yourself so hard to work. Now you can just say, it's okay. I'm okay. And even if I say it, I get kind of choked up because it's such a relief. Sometimes we need that. We just need to know and tell ourselves we're okay. And so that can really help. And really appreciate how hard you try. Appreciate yourself. Wow, Jess, you try so hard. I'm so proud of you. You really make a huge effort. You really want to do this. Amazing. You're amazing. Be your own cheerleader, your own support system, your own best friend. Why not? Can really help kind of calm you down. And tell yourself, take a break. It's okay to relax. We need that sometimes. And when you're on solitary retreat, no one else is going to tell you. So you have to trust your own wisdom and be your own support. And so now with your mind and your practice, again, you need to see, sometimes maybe the agitation too tight, it's already better. Just relaxing your body. Okay, I can go back to my main practice, no problem. But if this continues to be an issue, it's good to take a break. If you're doing a lot of intense, complicated practice, some kind of sadhana practice, or you're doing whatever you're doing, analytical meditation, what is emptiness, what is impermanence, drop it. Just open awareness, or I don't know, listen to the frogs, or something easy. Whatever's easy for you, be with body sensation. Just take a break from this kind of more rigorous practice. Especially, I think, when we get into analytical meditation, this is where we can get kind of tight sometimes. Emptiness. I must find emptiness. I can't find it. And there's this tightness that kind of comes. Just, okay, empty or not, who cares? Okay, I'm going to leave it. And then you come back. For those who know compassion, loving kindness practice, you can try that. Seeing that your efforts are compassion, loving kindness. That can transform it. It can help. Mingyur Rinpoche talks about the 4 steps, and I'm kind of running out of time, so you can learn about the 4 steps. Try something different, step back, look at the booster emotions, take a break. Kind of talked about them already a little bit. And again, if all else fails, do whatever you can to relax. Even read a book. If you're at home, if you're on retreat, you don't want to turn on Netflix, but go just anything you can to really I'm not going to practice. Just going to relax. And then you can come back when you feel ready. So that sort of concludes Too Tight, Too Loose. I wanted to talk a little bit about everything in the middle, which is hopefully, a lot of our practice is somewhere in the middle. And I think the good news is that your intuition actually knows. You can really trust that you'll find your balance, because somehow our body, mind, it knows when we're off balance. And so we find it naturally. We kind of come back, not too tight, not too loose. And we know when we're balanced. Oh yeah, this is good. And then whatever's coming up, whether it's like good experience, bad experience, difficult emotion, wonderful emotion, as long as we're kind of making the right effort, it's all okay. It's fine, and we're not looking, so we're not holding too much on the result. If you know you're not too tight, too loose, awareness, but you feel like blah, awareness with dullness, awareness with agitation, but there's like a way in which we can bring awareness to all these experiences, and as long as we're not like too far on either extreme, our awareness can hold a lot, actually. In fact, it can hold all of it. It's just, we're trying to find a workable zone. And so, in some ways, you don't have to worry too much. All of this is helpful to know, I think, because if we find ourselves here, but also we can trust that you're okay. And I think it's really, I think I covered most of it. And I think just to sort of drive this point home about as long as we're making the right effort, you can trust that like all the practices, whatever your practice you're doing, whether it's awareness, it's loving kindness, wisdom practice, all of it is, it's going to do its work, and kind of allowing it to unfold in its own time. So sometimes on retreat it feels like awareness of dullness, awareness of breath. Oh, I don't know. I feel like nothing's working, but you're there. You're doing it, you're aware. So then you let go of the result. And then slowly it works. We just kind of have to trust it does. And sometimes we have like good experience that kind of inspires us, and then we have, down experience. And this really, I think, knowing that from the beginning we're fundamentally okay, our basic goodness is there, we can learn slowly to like really trust that we're fine. The up is good, down is good, up is good. And even experiencing this extreme agitation or extreme loose is all part of learning. Like it's all part of being a meditator, unfortunately. I don't know anyone who gets away with not experiencing these extremes. Maybe some people, certainly not me. I'm very familiar with both. So don't worry too much. It's all workable. And so thank you.